So gut issues are something that's becoming more and more common. I see it more and more all the time. More people coming to me with gas, diarrhea, constipation, food intolerances, gut-related things like histamine, things like that. And actually, the statistics are that 78% of people who have been diagnosed with IBS actually have SIBO. And what SIBO is an acronym that stands for small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. It's where the bacteria in the large intestine can overgrow into the small intestine, where they're not supposed to be. So what happens then is when you start to eat, that bacteria starts breaking that food down way too early and causing all of these horrible symptoms. And I think a hallmark symptom of SIBO is like really horrible bloating and this feeling of fullness when you eat. It's something that I've struggled with. And I didn't realize it was SIBO until much later after dealing with an IBS diagnosis where I thought I just had to live with it forever. Um, but let's talk about what causes SIBO, because if you do not get to the root causes of your symptoms of what's causing it, it's going to keep coming back. This is why when people go see gastrointestinologists and they get put on rounds and rounds of antibiotics, it just keeps coming back. They feel good for a minute and then it comes back, or sometimes they feel even worse. And let's go over why that would be for a minute, because there's three different kinds of SIBO. You can have hydrogen SIBO, and that presents as diarrhea. You can have methane SIBO, which presents as constipation, or you can have hydrogen sulfide SIBO. And this one you would know if you have it because you react really horribly to high sulfur foods like eggs and broccoli. And if you eat those and then you get this really stinky gas, like it smells like rotten egg gas, you're likely have hydrogen sulfide SIBO. And you can have a combination of these too. So, you start thinking about getting diagnosis as like IBS mixed. Like usually IBS is IBS-C, which is constipation, IBS-D, which is diarrhea, or IBS mixed, which can be both. Coincides very much that you probably have both forms of SIBO. And the reason why sometimes treating with antibiotics works and sometimes it does not, if you have hydrogen SIBO and you get, we do use antibiotics, or you can use natural antimicrobials to heal that, and that will take care of that. But if you have methane SIBO, antibiotics are not going to help you because the methane SIBO isn't actually a bacteria, even though they call it that. I think they're starting to change the terminology on that, and they're no longer calling it a bacteria because it's not a bacteria, it's a methanogen, right? And so if you treat that with antibiotics, now you're killing off all of your good bacteria and the methanogens are still there. And now you're worse off than you were when you started. So you really need to be doing the test. It's a breath test. It's an easy test to do to make sure that that's what you have so that you're treating the right kind. You're not just going in and using antibiotics when you shouldn't be. But the causes of SIBO, there are many, and it's important to get to the bottom of what could be causing it. Probably the most common is migrating motor complex dysfunction. So your migrating motor complex is a mechanism that sweeps your intestines in between meals. So it'll fire 90 minutes after you eat, right? And so then it sweeps out everything that's not supposed to be there, including that bacteria. And so if you're constantly snacking, I know it was a huge push for like you needed to be eating 5 small meals a day and all these trends, right? But if you're snacking throughout the day, that's never firing. And so that's not good. So like if you're having stomach problems, just even try that to start with, just to give you some symptom relief. Just don't snack. Don't eat between meals. Do your breakfast, lunch, dinner. Don't eat right before bed, and give your migrating motor complex a chance to really do its job. Another common cause of SIBO is antibiotics. I think this was a contributing factor to me. I was put on a really, really high antibiotic that I never should have been on. I was on a Levaquin for an ear infection, which you don't put someone on that for an ear infection. That's something that you put on if you're septic or something. It's a big gun, and it should have never been given to me, but I didn't know any better. And that really contributed to my gut issues. But antibiotics can cause it, which is interesting because that's what they used to treat it too. Food poisoning. That also happened to me. I had a list of all of these things, so there's no wonder I ended up such a mess, right? But food poisoning is another thing. And motility issues, like anything that's going to slow down your motility, could be a cause of SIBO. Parasites, protozoa, there's just a bunch of different things that can cause it. And so it's really hard, right? So people seem to think, oh, I have SIBO. I need to treat it this way. I need to treat it that way. You don't know unless you run the testing and you go through the steps to find out what is causing it in the first place. Because if you can't figure that out, then you're not going to keep it from coming back. And this is something that happens. I see it in the groups all the time. it comes back, it comes back, it comes back, and people think that they have to live with it forever because they haven't found their cause. But they don't realize that they need to, that there are all these different causes. So the healing program that I use to get to the bottom of people's root causes of any kind of illness is the first part is working on support. So I run foundational tests to get to the bottom of any nutrients, deficiencies, imbalances, things like that. Anything that we can do to support the body, because your body needs to be really well supported before we move on to dealing with anything in the gut. Because if your detoxification pathways aren't working, you're going to end up worse off. If you go to try to kill things and they have nowhere to go, you're going to feel a lot worse. You just really want to give yourself the best chance of just being fully supported and your body ready to do what it needs to do when it comes time to actually do the kill off things. And so, yeah. And in the meantime, like, it takes a while to get to gut work and people can get really frustrated because they're miserable, but there are things that we can do to help keep you comfortable as we're going through the program. And one of those is trying like a low FODMAP diet. The FODMAPs are like sugars that are like break down and people have a really hard time digesting them. They're kind of the problem ones. And you find out really quickly which ones bother you and which ones don't. For me, it was garlic and watermelon were my biggest offenders, which sucked because I love them, right? And so, but you'll know that if you want to just Google and look up like FODMAP is what you would look up for the diet. And you can just try an elimination of that for a while just to see what you're reacting to most. But that is not a cure either. Like people think, oh, we just need to do this. And then they feel better because they're not eating the things that are aggravating it. But you're not curing anything. You're just keeping them from really bothering you. And so if you try to introduce them back again, you're going to get you're going to have the same symptoms, if not worse. So don't think that's the cure, but that's just something to help us get through that. And be careful of probiotics because probiotics can feed SIBO too. So there are certain kinds that you can take that won't feed the SIBO, but there aren't very many. So you just need to be careful of those things. If this is something that's interesting to you, or somebody's struggling with gut issues and they're looking for a practitioner to work with, you can just go to my website at www.breakthroughintegrativehealing. You can book a free initial consult. If you have questions, I can answer them. Otherwise, there's even just a section on there that you can just submit and ask any questions if you have it, and I can get back to you that way.